All right, so buckle up because I'm going to tell you a story. And I'll try not to get emotional through the story, but there are no promises. It is late at night. I am slightly tired, but I figured I would tell it now because tomorrow I might not want to. So here we are. So I want to talk to you about my addiction to Adderall. And I know it sounds like it's like, oh, it's just Adderall, like college kids take it, it's party drug, blah blah. You can't really be addicted. And let me tell you, you totally freaking can. And you never, it's like such a classic saying where it's like, oh, no one intends to be addicted. But like, it's true. Like, you don't, like, it's definitely true. And everyone starts their addiction with pretty much innocence. So basically, what it started off with is, I don't want to go into too many details, but at a young age, I would use Adderall. I was not prescribed it. My sister is prescribed it, and my father is prescribed it. They're both prescribed like a lot because they actually need it. And the way that it works on their brain is they don't have like the cool like hyper focus euphoria. And essentially, what Adderall does is that it actually will basically stimulate your brain to release a whole bunch of dopamine and norepinephrine, which essentially has a super rush of like happy, confident euphoria, like I can do this. But then with the norepinephrine, that makes it so that it's like focused energy, which is like caffeine. Yeah, you get a lot of caffeine, you get jittery, you're like, I have energy, yay! But like I can't do anything with this energy. Adderall makes it so that you have that energy and that like oomph, like let's do this, but you can actually like do it. But I'm not promoting Adderall, but that's where it starts. Like it's nice in that sense. So I used it through high school, but like a little bit here and there. Like I'd ask my mom, be like, Mom, I have like a really big exam, and she wanted me to do good, and like she felt guilty because I spent a lot of my childhood helping my mom with my sister who is bipolar, and it was a very stressful childhood. So my mom always tried to help me, so she would always give me like a little half of one, and I was like 18, it wasn't a big deal. And then I went to college, and then she was like, okay, like can you, like you can do it. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And I was anxious and everything, but I would visit from college, and then I started stealing them from my mom, where she would send me up with my medicine for the week, every week at college when I was there. And she'd always include the Adderall in there, but only like 10 milligrams a day. And she didn't know I was binging them and like taking them all within like a week. And it was supposed to be like a 3-week supply. But the issue is when you binge them like that, I don't like calling it binging because it makes it sound like I was like going to a rave and like, yeah, like I'm binging it. No, I mean binge as in I take one, and my tolerance is high now because I've been taking them for several years, and my tolerance is really high, and I've been taking them for a while. And what happens is that like your brain then is like, okay, girl, like last month you gave me like 150 milligrams, I was feeling good, like I know I need that now, so now I need at least 150 milligrams for you to feel good again, so don't try to short me on that. So that's basically what your brain does, and that's your tolerance. So it ended up, I binged them because when that tolerance is that high, you need more to get to that level. And then the more you do that, you also have really bad come downs when the drug wears off, in which you have surged completely all of the reservoir of your brain of like dopamine and all your important chemicals at that point. And your brain needs time now to actually like not only restabilize, but now also remake all those chemicals that you just pooted out. So the next day, when you take another Adderall, guess what? You're milking your brain of all of the dopamine that, you're trying to get back overnight that you just pooped right out. And you do it again. And so this repetitive use, this is where it becomes important, and this is where addiction comes in. This repetitive up and down of your dopamine levels from taking the pill like so consistently. If you have ADHD and you take the pill consistently like you're supposed to, you will not have this issue because you already have a chemical imbalance in which you need the drug to open up those dopamine receptors, and therefore it balances for you. But if you do not have ADHD and you do have normal brain cells and brain balance chemicals and you take Adderall, you will fuck up your balance and give yourself some mental illnesses. Let me tell you about that. So after years of this constant taking Adderall, it could happen even if you do it like dosing it correctly, but it's a much longer process and it's less sickening because you have less up and down of dopamine. So I'd go weeks where I would have like a whole bunch of it, and I would only take a whole bunch of it because it was like not working, and then when it would wear off, I'd feel like death and like death. Like, you know, like those Vice things that you put like in like workshops to have like the clamps, and then you like wind it and it like crushes thing in between it. Like when my Adderall would wear off, it would feel like my head was between that, and all I wanted to do was just crush like my skull. Like the pain was that bad. So I would take more to get rid of the pain because Advil didn't work. So when all of this goes on, I'm also not eating because it definitely curbs your appetite. And not only does it curb your appetite, it makes it so that I had this issue that when I went to go eat after I had taken Adderall, if I was not hungry, but I knew I had to force myself to eat because my body was going to die, when I would force myself to eat, I would literally be like those cat videos where the cat's like, here's a muffin, where they're just like that was me. Like I would literally be like, oh yeah, I love cookies. And like I would do that in public, and it was like really embarrassing. And then that's when I was like, this is a problem. It was also a problem because when I would come home from college, I would crawl around in the hallways of my house when my family was sleeping, and I would crawl into their bedrooms and go into their pillboxes and actually steal out the Adderall that they had. Like I was really low. I feel extremely guilty for doing it. And I did this for 10 years. But I wanted to like uphold the image that I created for myself, because the thing is with Adderall, it doesn't make you smarter, you know? Like it's not a miracle drug. It doesn't make you any smarter. It doesn't grant you this magical ability to remember things. But it's sickening because it shows you what your potential is that you're just not tapping into on a daily basis. And it kind of just like unlocks this gate of like, wow, I'm capable of doing all this on my own. It's just like, I just lack the motivation or like the focus that I need. So it's not like it's making you smarter. It's just like, you want it back because you know that you can do it on your own, but you just need that help again. Like you need to be reminded of it. And that's why it's just like super annoying. But, so the binging and ups and downs, basically over time, that constant surge of dopamine and getting rid of it and all that, it will literally begin to physically damage your brain in a sense that like you will get depression and anxiety and have other probably more issues, honestly. And it's true, and it fucks you up, and it definitely gives you all those problems. And for years I hid it from my family. Like I went to go and get on Zoloft because I knew that I was getting depressed because of this Adderall addiction, but I didn't want to tell my family about it because it wasn't worth giving up the Adderall at that point because I couldn't function without it. Anyway, where was I with that? But basically I had to stop because it was really, really bad, and I had told my boyfriend and my family and everything, and then I had done all the research about withdrawal and everything, and I was like, you know what? I had tapered for 2 weeks before we did the withdrawal. Before we did the tapering that my boyfriend helped me with. We tapered for 2 weeks, like 30, 15, half 15 milligram type of thing. So I thought by the time I got off of the pill completely, I would be totally fine. And like during that stage where I was, you know, like uncomfortable, that was the withdrawal, I thought, but that was just like a weird come down phase, because when I went cold turkey after that, which was September 25th or 6th, 5th, September 25th, I went cold turkey, and first 4 days were emotional because I think I was still having the come down of taking my last dose. So I was emotional. I was kind of like, I don't know. I'm kind of tired and hungry and bitchy. I think I was also PMSing at the time. So it was a whole hodgepodge of shit. And I basically was just like, it's whatever. And then withdrawals are actually really fucking terrifying. Like, they're scary. And you think that the drug is out of your system, and emotionally you've come to terms now with, like, you want it to be gone. Like, you don't want to be on this drug anymore, you know? So like you don't think that you're going to have withdrawals because emotionally you don't want to be on it, because everyone thinks, oh, withdrawals, like, oh, it's because you want it, like you're going through withdrawal because you crave it again. But that's not the case. Like, it's withdrawals because your brain is going through withdrawals, and your brain is telling you, hey, why aren't you supplying me with this chemical that you were giving me before that was really helping us out? Like, that's what the withdrawal is. But like, you yourself don't want it, and that's what makes it fucking horrifying, and that's what makes it sickening. And so the first 4 days of cold turkey, I was okay. 5 and 6, I was like, okay, I'm almost to a week, it's cool. Maybe, when I reach a week, I'll be okay. And then basically day 7 until like, basically from day 7 to like 15, and I'm only at 16, or maybe 7 to 14, basically, yeah, so 7 to 14, within that range, was the most depressive, darkest, honestly suicidal, disgusting, like this vile place that I was in my mind, where I had laid in bed and wanted to die all day. I had to have my family come and move me out of my own apartment because I was laying in the corner of my room, like curled up in a ball, just like shaking and crying. And like, I literally was in like a psychosis for like 3 days. And then after that, it was just like really angry. Like I like wanted to hurt my boyfriend, which I would never want to do. And like, all he wanted to do was help me, and I just didn't understand, because I'm like, I don't want this drug, like, I don't want this. I want to be okay. I don't want this drug. Why am I sick? Like, it's not like I want it. I don't want it. Why is it making me sick? And Colin my boyfriend, he was trying to help me. And then one night, I don't know what happened, but I started having a panic attack out of nowhere. And I started like freaking, and he was trying to like console me, and he's like, it's okay, babe, like you're okay, I love you, blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, get away from me. And I like threw him off of me, and I like darted into the bathroom, and like our shower curtain had fallen because like the painters were in there. And I just like ran in there, and then I locked the door, and then I jumped into the bathtub and then rolled myself up in the shower curtain and just like grabbed my head and started screaming like bloody murder, like just screaming like a possessed person. And he fucking kicks the door down, and he grabbed me and then like dragged me out of the bathtub, and I was just like, ah! And then it was just like, it was like a horror movie. Like, it was so bad though. And he dragged me back to bed and basically had to like restrain me until I passed out because of like how hard it was. And like, then the next night the throwing up began. And like, when they have timelines of recovery and like withdrawal timelines, wow, they're pretty fucking accurate. So I spent several days then nauseous. I thought I was pregnant, but I wasn't, don't worry. But it's like, are you serious? So I spent days just randomly throwing up, random panic attacks where I can't drive myself home from the grocery store for absolutely no reason. I cried on the floor, the footsteps of the staircase of a mental health place that I was trying to go visit, and I had like a panic attack and started freaking out and stuff. And it was just like, all of this was because I stopped taking a pill that made me study easier. All of this. The panic attacks, the extreme depression, the suicidal thoughts, all of this, the sickness, that like the hot flat, like everything, this trauma that I've been experiencing of addiction is because of a pill that is like so commonly prescribed. Everyone just takes some Adderall and study. And yeah, it works. And it works really great if you have ADHD. But if you don't, don't do it. Even if it's recreational, or even if it's to get a little project done, it is a cycle that is sick, and you could be innocent. I only ever took it because I wanted to be able to study and get into college and make my mom proud, because I didn't want to be a mistake and not be able to handle a science career, because I'm a molecular biologist. And all these social pressures and everything is like what cracks people. And I just wanted to continue to be the best that I knew I could be, but I could only be that person with Adderall, and that's what was making it difficult for me. And then I ended up just getting trapped in the pain that comes with the pills. And after that, and then you realize you are addicted, and then you need to get help. But I am now 16 days clean, actually, and aside from today, 3 days in a row, I was actually feeling really good, and I went to the grocery store and I made like meal plans and I organized everything. And I'm going to get a therapist set up and everything. And I'm just trying to say is that I had to take a month off of work, which is extremely disappointing and very depressing because I finally got to move into this apartment, this beautiful apartment, which is not decorated, with my boyfriend, which is like a dream come true. And it sucked because I could barely move in because I was going through extreme withdrawals and like buckled over the toilet, throwing up nothing because I couldn't eat, and it was awful. But like that's the price you have to pay when you do drugs, and when you have to fix yourself, you have to fix yourself because it's gonna have to be for life. But yeah, so that's my little story. I hope you guys understand. I'm sorry I look like crap and like I'm looking all over the place, but addiction is hard. I have lost so much weight. I've have terrible hormonal problems because of this addiction. I'm basically anemic. Like my skin is terrible, my hair is terrible, my teeth. I always complain about my cavities. It's because I have chronic dry mouth from using the amphetamines for so long, and all of my teeth basically need root canals. Speaking of which, I have to get 2 root canals tomorrow. So it's just a matter of like, I was dying like slowly, and just like from the inside, pieces of me were just like kind of shattering apart. And I was trying to ignore it the whole time, not realizing this is because of this drug. So, my message to you is please do not take it. Or if you do, please be really responsible. Or if you see someone else who is using it, it probably happens a lot in the esports or just in streaming or just in school and anywhere. But please, it's seriously a drug. It's basically meth. And it could ruin your life if you do not stop yourself soon enough. So, thanks for listening. And I didn't realize this was 20 minutes, but thank you.